Okay, how's that look?
Much better. Good
All
job.
right.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Mars, which was, by the way, what Tim asked for. When I sent that email out, Tim wanted to hear about Mars. So that's what I did. So Mars, Earth's little brother. And it's named after the Roman god of war, first observed in Egypt in 1534. Galileo was the first to see it through a telescope. And it's been a lot of people ever since. And here's the size differences. Along with, you notice the differences between what's similar and what's different? Come on, guys, participate.
Yeah, clouds and water.
Yeah. Yeah, the clouds are totally different makeup. And that's why they're a little bit, what do you call it? Roundish.
Yeah.
And this
Oh,
is the constitution of each one. As you can tell with Earth, 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. And with the Mars, it's 95% carbon dioxide and 30-some% nitrogen. So the air is totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, they have less than 1% or 0.1% oxygen. Yeah, it's going to be a little tough breathing down there. And this gives you some of the basic information. That 1 year on Mars is 687 days. 1 day is 24.5 hours, which is very similar. It's about 141 million miles from the sun. This is what got me though. The hottest place on Mars is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, where the coldest place on Mars is minus 200 degrees. That's not a place I'd want to visit. Magnitude's about 2.94. It's half the size of Earth. And it has two moons, if you'd call them moons, Phobos and Deimos, and they're basically captured asteroids. And there they are. That gives you, and you can tell by they're not very big.
Hmm.
And the silicon and iron in the soil makes it have that rusty look. Northern and southern hemispheres do have ice on the polar caps, but it's mainly CO2. It's not water. It does have craters and highlands, dry lakes, rivers, and so much more. And this is kind of a side view. You can see the polar caps on each one of Mars. And this is some of the different features that we'll be going over a little bit. And this is a topographic map, and you can see that right there is Olympus Mons.
mhm.
There's Valles Marineris, I mean. And what this picture shows is where some of the spacecraft have landed and sit.
What's our current one called? Perseverance?
Perseverance.
Yeah.
And Ingenuity is the little helicopter that's with it. We'll be talking about that in a second. Now, remember that first view of the Mars that I showed you? This shows you exactly where each one of them is.
Okay.
And Perseverance is right there.
Gotcha.
Now we talk about Olympus Mons, the biggest volcano in the solar system. It's about 600 kilometers across, and it's 3 times taller than Mount Everest.
Wow.
To give you an example, there's Mauna Kea, which I'm sure most of you have seen. There's Mount Everest, and there's Olympus Mons.
Isn't Mauna Kea where the two Keck
Yes.
Observatories are? Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see the difference between that one and then Olympus Mons. It is the tallest one in the solar system.
Wow.
Then there's Valles Marinas, and it's the largest canyon in the solar system. And it was formed by Mars crust cooling and possible tectonic motion, evidence of water flow. That gives you a better picture of it, how big it is. And to give you another example about how big it is, there's a picture of the United States. And you can see that thing runs clear across the United States. And down in the
Wow.
corner there is the Grand Canyon.
Huh.
That's the size differential and the depth. Grand Canyon is 1.6 kilometers, which we think is pretty deep. And I think all of us have visited that. And Val's is 8 kilometers deep. That gives you a little better idea about it. The depth and the size. And this is what I found was really intriguing. They put the United States map over top of it. And as you can see, it runs from there clear across the United States. And what I get a kick out of, that's the Grand Canyon. The little thing in red. Not very big comparison, huh?
Man.
Okay, so here we go. Now some questions for you. Which one's Mars and which one's Earth? Anybody want to guess?
I'm guessing lower right is Earth.
Okay,
Trick question, they're all Mars.
Oh,
there you go. Guess what, guys? The lower left is actually the Earth. The other two are Mars. How about there?
Huh.
There you go.
Hawaii.
There's your Hawaiian volcano, the old one, and there's Olympus Mons.
Kilauea.
Yeah, very similar.
Shield volcano.
How about there? Your windy desert, as we call it.
Wow.
And the one on the left is the Earth, and the one on the right is Mars.
Wow.
Well, how about there? What's the evidence of water in past water?
Oh, wow.
There's the North Pole. And again, it's CO2 water, very little
Yeah.
hydrogen dioxide. And this basically is the South Pole. And it said it's mostly a combination of ice water and much of it's carbon dioxide ice. Totally different makeup. And now we go back, Mars or Earth?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And how about here?
Right is Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. The right one's Argentina,
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
but the left one is Mars. So it's kind of giving you signs that there was at one time water.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, next one.
Top one's Earth.
Yeah. I think it's the top one too.
You're right.
Oh,
Yemen.
Yemen.
All right, how about now?
Left one Earth.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yep, the left one is Earth. Right one's Mars. Okay, the structure of Mars. It's like Earth, but not as many layers. There is no magnetic field. It has a magnetized crust, and it has a lot of earthquakes. InSight, which was set up there to talk about Mars quakes. I should call it Mars quakes, not earthquakes. I'm used to earthquakes. The Mars quakes, it's found over 450 of them. And last week, which we'll get to in a second, it was right where 2 more of them occurred.
Wow.
The atmosphere was stripped by the sun. It's mostly CO2, like we talked about before. Seasons are very similar to Earth. The dust storms are huge. And that would be a view of the clouds on Mars. And you can see they just don't have any moisture in them. Very little. And this was visits to Mars. You had flybys. You had the Mariner, you had Mars, you had Viking. And they took pictures. And you had all these different ones now that have gone there, 50 plus of them, some successful, some failures. And here's the list of all the rovers that are on Mars. And you see Perseverance down there and Ingenuity. And that's a picture of Ingenuity. That's originally they were going to try to fly that on Friday. I was hoping they would. That way I could actually put something in here on the fact they did. But unfortunately, they now moved it back to next week. And that is the flight zone for it. It's going to take off here and kind of go down and see if it works. And that gives you a size differential between Perseverance and Ingenuity. It's kind of small.
Yeah, wow.
And that's how it ended up getting sit up there. It was underneath. And that kind of gives you how, what it looks like and how small it is. And that's what it's going to look like when it does fly. That's what they're hoping for. So as the Perseverance moves around, they can go up and take downward pictures of what is up there. Now on April 5th, everybody was excited because it actually it survived its first cold night alone on the red planet, which was a good thing because it has a lot of wind.
Yeah.
I think also cold weather, there was a concern about batteries too.
Yeah.
So.
And InSight, the one that detects Mars tremors, detected 2 of them last week. One was 3.3 and the other one was 3.1. And it originated not far from where the InSight was at. And so it was kind of exciting. They got real good readings. And this gives you an example about where that is. And you see those 2 big cracks there?
Oh, wow.
It's along those cracks. There's another example of that crack. And what happened was, because of the earthquake, they had a lot of this rock sliding down those cracks. And they got pictures of them because it was there. This is a Martian dust storm, to give you an example of the power of the wind and the fact that there is nothing to hold the earth together, no grass or anything like that. They're very strong and very ugly. So these are your future missions, and includes, down the list. And then of course, the last one, the next Mars orbiter is NASA's NEMO. And then what they plan on later is humans on Mars, which I thought, okay, so you're going to be in the 80-degree range or the minus 200.
Yeah.
And where to see it? If you went out tonight and the skies was clear, it would be in the horns of Taurus, not far from the Orion Nebula.
So sinking in the west then. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a way to get to Crab Nebula tonight. It was last night anyway.
So that kind of tells you where it's at if you want to look for it. Now, the only problem that we've run into with this whole mission was this guy popped up.
Marvin,
Marvin the Martian, and he was not happy that we invaded his space.
I thought you were going to say Matt Damon popped up.
Well, I could go there if you want. Well, gentlemen, that's my program.
Hey, that was fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Very helpful.
Well, it kind of gave me some facts that I didn't realize, like the size of valleys
Mhm.
and Olympus Mons. I knew it was big, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize how much bigger it was. And it just kind of went, wow, it has some real amazing features.
Well,
So
the
it was
thing
fun
about,
putting it together.
well, good, because the thing about Olympus Mons, it's not just a mountain peak, it's that whole plain across the top that's so high.
Absolutely. It's large. It's not a, straight up type mountain. It's
Yeah.
flat mountain and it's high up, as you saw by the pictures. So anyway, Tim,
I got a question for you, Jay. Did you learn anything about how recent seismic activity, as far as volcanic activity, is most everything dormant that way, or is it?
it's
is it
pretty
more
much
active?
dormant now. Yeah. They're not seeing much at all.
Okay,
So anyway, Tim, you got your wish.
but the
Yeah,
seismic
and I
stuff.
really appreciate it. Yeah, I've been following the little helicopter, and I was certainly hoping that it would get launched on my birthday weekend, but
Well, that's what,
didn't happen.
yeah, that's what I was hoping too, because I knew I was going to do this on the 10th, and it originally was scheduled to go up on the 9th.
Right, I know.
I was going to add a little movie of that in, and then they said, well, it'll be the 11th or 12th now. So who knows?
Right. All right.
What was you talked about the seismic activities?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's still going on.
Well, it's kind of like Earth. There's a lot of shifting of the structure. Not so much volcanic, but
Yeah.
just kind of like what we saw out of Salmon not too long ago. A lot of movement and
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple earthquakes.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
folks,
Great.
I'm gonna have to tune out because we're headed to dinner.